Twitter. I have two different Twitter accounts, one for Spanish, one for English, because I guess that's what you have to do when you tweet in both languages. Yeah. And another thing that I like is open source. Like, open source is the idea that you work on a project, library, whatever, and then you open the source to everybody else to see and use and improve. So all of these things combined in this project, and that's why I wanted to bring them up. So, wow, okay, I guess I am not
disconnect.
connected. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, I left. I lost my connection.
What's invisible and smells like carrots? Installing on my filling time.
Oh, thank you.
That's a good one. I don't know.
Funny part. Well, you didn't like it, Adam? You got a bear stall joke?
Okay, thank you. Hopefully it'll stay on. Still not. Share screen.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Hooray!
Okay. Back there. Back on. All right. Anyway, all these things combined, I noticed that on my trek from home to the office, I would see all this different parking violations, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to start tweeting about this because this guy is parking on a bus station, just like, you know, I don't care about people taking the bus. You can just walk to the middle of the street and take it. It is something that here in Philly is not that common, or at least I haven't seen that many parking violations. Maybe it's because I live somewhere up north. But anyway, I kept finding this parking violations, and I was like, okay, this sucks, and it's really making everybody's life more complicated. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go and report this parking violation. So I went to the City of Buenos Aires webpage, and I was like, okay, I'm going to fill out all this information with my, you know, my ID, my email, where I live, you know, all these important things that you need to use or fill out to report a parking violation. So I did all that, and I uploaded the 4 files or 3 different images that I had, and then I clicked submit, and it's like, oh, you know, you can't do it because your files are larger than 4 megabytes. So it's like 4.1 megabytes. You need to, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm not that into reporting someone if it means like me resizing the image and then like I'm like, no, I'm not that hardcore. I'm not that upset, you know. But the good thing is that so I'm a software engineer. I work at Ombu Labs. I actually founded Ombu Labs, so I kind of can decide what we'll work on. So that's one of the perks of having a company is that you can tell people what to work on. And if you have a pet project like this one, anyway, I picked it. I was like, let's do this as you know, a side project. So we started working on that, and we actually worked with some of the candidates that applied to work with us of this particular project. Like, this is kind of part of our interview process. We pay candidates to come and work with us for a few hours. Anyway, we picked this idea to work on it, and that's how it came up. It's called Infractores, which is, I guess, parking violators in English. And it's the idea is to report a parking violation with just a tweet, because everything you need for a report is right there. Okay, like that long form that you saw could basically be summarized into a tweet. And this is how. So a tweet, you can have text, and you can mention a particular user. In this case, Infractores VA, and you can add images to it, easily, and you can enable geolocation. So all these images are geolocated, and they show the parking violation. It's like this guy is parked in a corner. You don't even know if that guy is like actually turning or not unless you get all the way there. And it's very dangerous for people who are crossing this thing, or for anyone who's trying to make that turn. So anyway, there is the evidence right there. I'm sorry the labels are in Spanish because this is from another presentation that I did. It's actually kind of like Spanish and English. But anyway, you have geodata, you have the timestamp right there, you have the evidence, and maybe even in the text you could include the license plate. That's one of the issues that I had. Like I couldn't really get the license plate, so that's something that you could include in the text. So we started working on this, and it turned into just a single page application. It has a Google map, and you can see all the locations where there was a parking violation. So I'm the only user of this app so far. And anyway, so I lived over there where all the red dots are, and my office was over there, so I would take the, so that's why it's all focused there. And then basically what we do is we pick up all the information from Twitter, and then we use the geodata to locate it in the map. And then if you click in one of the markers, you can see the images for the violation. And if you click on it, you can see a little more. If you get closer, you can actually see the license plate. And yeah, this is something that I like working on, because I was, the thing about open source is that usually you want to scratch your own itch. Like that's the metaphor that you use when you're working on something that's open source. Like you're trying to basically, you have a problem, you have something that bothers you, and then you work on it, and then you open it to other developers or other people to contribute to it. So yeah, it's not something that I did myself. I did it with a team of developers and designers, but it didn't really take that much time. And you can see it running there in www.infractoresva.com.ar. And the source code is here. It's basically a Rails application. Yeah, it's all in Ruby and HTML and CSS. And I wanted to show and do this show and tell to actually talk to you guys and maybe get ideas for problems that you might have, or problems that you might see in Philly that could use a tool like this one. Like, I don't know, here's one idea that came to me with the snow. I don't know if you guys do this, the whole chair thing in the, like, I understand it. I understand the motivation. Like, I spent 2 hours digging my car out of the spot where I was, and I understand why someone would do it. I didn't do it, but it is illegal. Okay, like, it is illegal to do it, and that could be a violation. But I'm totally open to ideas now about this and how we could apply something like this to Philly or to the U.S. I did mention the ICE raids because something pretty current. But if you guys have ideas, I'm all ears.
Can you close so that folks online, if they have a thought, we can see them?
Where's my mouse?
Reporting people who put
Stop share.
cones or chairs and that sort of stuff to block parking spaces is an awesome idea. Especially in certain areas like when I lived in Manayunk, when I was in college, that was fucking epidemic. And it was par for the course in so many neighborhoods. That would be such a helpful thing because you could do it without having to make a whole big fuss about it, without having to engage anybody, and people get really heated about that.
Oh my God, you get your tires slashed.
Yeah. Although I wonder if there's any form to do it anonymously, so it wasn't tied to your to any geotag for yourself. Because if I were to do it and rat out my neighbors for doing it, and they were on Twitter, they can see tweets in the area.
Yeah.
My thought would be talking to bikers in Philly. Like, I don't know what bike violations you can say, but I would love to narc on all those assholes that park in bike lanes when you're trying to bike. It sucks.
Gosh.
Yeah.
And potholes is my other thought.
Yeah.
Because
That would be a great one.
Because that one, I feel like there's people probably have some feelings about whether they want to like tell on their neighbors, basically, right? But potholes, it's like, just fix this freaking pothole. And I don't know how reporting to 311 works, but I know that it's like a super long process and it's a pain in the ass to get to actually happen.
We're friends with 311. Indy Hall has friends over there. So that's
I don't know if
helpful.
do we still?
So to piggyback on the pothole thing, I did, and Jen would corroborate this, but I did tours in the city for a really long time. And so it's like beyond potholes. So it's like when a curb has a 2-inch lip that a wheelchair is supposed to be able to navigate, and they can't because it's shifted. Or any other what's wrong with my city? It's hard for the city. They have to have people go through and identify these things, but we all have a routine. So we know when this one block is cracked or something got damaged in our neighborhood or our path or 2 neighborhoods and things like that. I think that it could be like some kid tried to rip a sign down in my park, but now it just looks janky and it would be nice if it got repaired. That might not be a priority over a pothole, but then they could have their own algorithm on how many times cost versus their whatever, but you don't get that micro level of attention unless you report it. And we're paying taxes to keep our cities maintained a particular way. And that can go for like trash removal. You start getting into the neighborhoods that are outside of the pretty parts of the city, and the trash is offensive. And I feel bad for the residents, but their hands are tied. They don't have the resources. People clean up in front of their building, and then their neighbor's trash will blow in front of them and that kind of stuff. So I think it goes all city repairs, just to kind of get a log, like a real-time log of it.
It could also work with like the SPCA and stuff. We were talking about the snow. My friend had a horrible snow day, not because it was a terrible snow day, but because their neighbor's dogs were outside.
Yeah.
And they were like, you have to take your dogs in, and they ended up in a fight with their neighbor, which sucks. So like something like that, which, yeah, it's not anonymous, but being able to be like, this dog's been outside. And I have a guess that you can tweet at the SPCA and they probably are more responsive than a lot of government organizations. Also, Adam, do you remember something like this with South Philly? I think we should connect you to John Tirani, who does Map Time.
Yeah.
There was a map of like where I live in the Italian market, and they were asking for thoughts on individual areas. So just like Rasa was saying, there were like parts where it was like, this stop sign is like a little too far ahead, or like, it's really hard for bikers to bike on Washington Avenue and
That
stuff
might have
like
been
that.
Fifth Square.
It seems like Fifth Square, but I thought it was from the city government.
Not sure.
I just find that the routes that I used to take as a tour guide, I would notice when anything was out of place. I called 911 all the time. But some of it wasn't necessarily 911 worthy, and I was just like, that's a shame, and like kept going.
Yeah.
And didn't know where to report that, but could have done it in a quick, took a photo, quick tweet, done.
Sorry, you were going to say something, Kathleen.
Oh, yeah. Did you get to the stage with your bus iris first? Did you connect it up with any government?
No, I wanted to do it, but that stupid form has a caption. So, but they do that. So, I don't know why they do it, but basically you do it so that computers don't easily integrate with it. So I was looking into doing that, but then I couldn't get around the caption. But yeah, that was the whole idea to kind of, like use my own personal information and just like programmatically fill out the form and send it. Not that complicated.
But I'm sure your interface is way nicer than whatever they're using.
Yeah.
So you could
Yeah, but
be like, hey, here's a map of everything that's wrong right now in the city.
yeah, I did get in touch with the city, and they're like, oh, cool, yeah, we're discussing whatever. Bureaucracy happened, and nothing really happened.
Yeah.
Welcome to Philly.
Right.
No, that was actually in Buenos Aires, but I bet it's even worse than here.
Yeah.
So,
And then I was also going to ask if you are aware of the app See, Click, Fix. I know that I think when I lived in Phoenix, I think the city was connected with this. It's a similar thing where people can report issues of any kind, and then
no, I
the
didn't
city
know,
has
but
access. So check that out. See, Click, Fix. Everything's spelled the normal way. You can maybe see how to differentiate yours from it. Or,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do this for money. I don't know. It was
Right.
just for fun and for scratching my own itch.
Yeah.
Basically.
So the dystopian conspiracy theorist in me is like, this is really great because I love following rules and I'd love my sidewalk to be repaired. And then the other thing is like, when do we start reporting illegals and snap geo, that kind of scary shit?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's where my mind went. I'm like, now our neighbors are spying on us.
Let's all talk about the book The Circle.
Oh, yeah.
I just started it.
But it comes from such a noble place. Like, I feel you.
No, but I understand also the side of things where I'm like, well, I'm reporting a lot of guys. I think one time I did get a reply on Twitter like, oh, you don't know where that guy was going, so why do you report him? Like, maybe he had an emergency, and I'm like,
That maybe,
yeah, that
but he
was an
still get a
emergency,
ticket.
'cause You left the car there for like a whole day, so that was not an emergency. But I see people getting pissed off about like people reporting and calling them narcs and
Watch a couple seasons of Parking Wars if you haven't already.
parking wars.
Yeah, it takes place here.
Oh,
Have you guys not seen it?
Several seasons. of
Several
Parking
seasons of Parking
Movie
Wars filmed
night.
right here with the
About the
PPA.
PPA, yeah. It was a reality TV show about the PPA. Yep.
Yes, and all of the passionate things about parking in Philly.
All this is to say this is a really cool.
This
Yeah.
is cool.
Great
yeah,
idea.
and if you have other ideas later and want to ping me on Slack or Twitter, just feel free to do so. I'm open to ideas.
Cool.
And if you code and want to contribute, of course, even better.
Thanks, Ernesto.
Thanks, Ernesto.
And next,
Help those out.
do you know if Jim Smiley still does the like hack for? Jim Smiley used to do like hacking for social good stuff.
Yeah.
That
I
would
believe
be a
he
good
does.
connection to make.
Actually, I was thinking when you mentioned John Cherani, I got to introduce Ernesto to John. That'd be an awesome idea.
Maybe John and Jim.
All the J's.
All the J names.
I do not have a PowerPoint, but I have visual aids.
That's
so
okay.
Yeah.
Make sure that.
on me.
No.
Okay.
So
So
the TV did. Does the TV tilt down a little?
whatever. So great teaser, Adam. Except this isn't my latest invention. This is probably my only invention. And so I'm a big group participation person. So who here has a drafty door at home? Okay. The rest of you live in new construction. Kiss my ass. And have you guys tried, like, do these products like look familiar?
Yeah.
Any-
Especially that
one.
fucking brown thing.
Yes, this fucking brown thing is
It's
exactly.
the worst. It gets so gross.
So, and then did that solve it, or did anybody still have issues?
We did it at our old Indy.
Okay, so yes, so Indy Hall, when that was the draft of all drafts, I'm irrationally upset with my drafty doors, and they are in every single home I ever lived in. And so this has just come from personal frustration. Each of these have different problems. So for those of you not familiar, those of you blessed with new construction or wonderfully constructed doors, This is meant to slide underneath the door, and so that it blocks the draft on either side. Works great until you modify it to fit your door, and then you don't know what to do with the flap here at the end. Do you tuck it? Do you pin it? If there's anything but a nice smooth surface under your door, this thing gets caught. When you open and shut your door, if you do it with any good velocity, you can like shoot this across the room. There's a constant foot kick situation going on there. This guy is not terrible in theory. It goes under your door and like it's really tight, so it hangs onto the bottom of your door as you open and close. Cutting it down to size is a nightmare. I tried to on one end and I couldn't get through it with anything I had at the house. And then I realized that underneath my door there was some things going on that I couldn't get it up there. So I was like, oh, there's a track. They make ones for that have tracks, and it still didn't solve the problem. Because I couldn't get it on there and it was uneven and the door was too old. And then what was real kick in the pants is the gap on either side is often different. So one side's a 1/4 of an inch, the other side's an 1/8 of an inch. So if you shove something under there, it's hard to shut the door. So like, guys, this is like the struggle is real. Okay. So I got frustrated and made this. Now this looks like the ones that you just kind of lay in front of the door. And what's difficult about those is if you open your door and shut it behind you, it's laying in the middle of your living room. It doesn't come back to your door. And so rather than affixing something to the bottom of your door, thanks to 3M, you can affix something directly to your door. So this would hang, let's say this is the bottom of the door, sorry for the folks at home, this would hang on the bottom of your door most of the time. And the reason why it's different is that it moves with the door. It gives you the opportunity that it brushes along the floor so that if you have carpet or hardwood or an uneven surface, it's not like in friction because it's just riding above whatever that surface is. The reason why I'm excited about 3M and it makes it possible is 3M has these lock and hoop non-damaging removable strips. So you can apply these to your door. I'm sure you guys have all seen them. You have plastic hook in your bathroom at some point. And then when you're done or you move or if you have a historic piece of door, you can kind of pull this and it'll release the sticky and it will not make damage to your door. And they hold like up to 5 pounds, 10 pounds. So it's enough with multiple strips on the back to just snap it in place. And so it solves all of these problems. And then a couple of more. So a couple of the features with this product is that these, because of the nature of it, slide under the door, are the actual size of the door. But like my house, there's a gap between where the door ends and the molding begins. So this product is designed to have a flap on either side to kind of hold and seal up that gap as well. I went over that it's removable, non-damaging. The super fun thing is the weighted part is removable. And so this is going to be the exterior shell that you can wash, change out for the seasons, pick your decor. So it doesn't have to be this boring blob piece that I got for really cheap at the bargain bin at Maker's Row, or down because I just had to put this together in my living room. And so this offers an opportunity for people to be a little more fashionable with the door stopper, rather than having to just pick with something blah. Although this happens to be blah, my non-blah prototype is with the manufacturer. And I said washable. Now, the other problem is with a lot of these products is once you cut it down to door size, it's cut down to that door size and you bin the other portion. That was a problem too, because every time you move, you have to buy a new one. And that pissed me off as well. So the insert comes with removable sections and they're measured out for door specific. So you can take one section off. And
Vanessa is fucking thrilled.
take the open end and tuck it in on itself. And of course, your door stopper will come with directions. And then you can reinsert the weighted portion and it'll hang cleanly at a smaller size. And then if you go to your next home and it happens to be a bigger door, you just pull it out, attach the section back on, and reinsert. And so this will fit, the one product will fit between 24-inch and 36-inch doors and customizable up and down as you move. And then I give this, the next idea was with my sister. So thank you, Amy. She said,
She's not up there.
she's not up there. She's just to the universe.
She's in New York.
Yeah, whatever direction that way. Good job, Amy.
Want to give it up for
Give
Amy.
it up for Amy. And so and an additional product that I'm going to sell with this is a fragrant stick that you can insert into the sleeve. And so every time you open and shut your door, you just get a nice little waft of pine at the holidays or fresh linen in the summer or whatever. So it's just one of those, like, I solved my problem and I'm thrilled with the results. And I met with a manufacturer out in BFE on Monday, and they're going to put some samples together. And the guys on the other side of the room are going to chuck together a little demonstrative video. So we'll see what's next.
So cool.
So cool.
What do you call it? What do you call it? What do you call
The
it?
last stop.
The last stop?
Yeah. So that's my little, like, hilarious side project for being frustrated with my drafty doors.
What is it filled with?
This one is filled with corn because I had one of those heating pad things, and I was like, this is what I need, and I cut it open and out spilled corn. But ideally an organic product if I can. There's some cost with the sampling process. We're working out the costing, and I'd like to have cedar in it as well, because cedar is slightly pest and pet resistant and non-harming, so that if your dog decides that this looks like a chew toy, if they do bite into it, that cedar is an off-putting taste, and they'll back off from it. Hopefully the smell is strong enough that they won't even go there, but yeah.
Will you take my money?
Yes. Well, how much would you pay for it?
I think I would probably pay like between $29 and $45.
Oh, okay.
Because it saves you heating bill money, right?
It
But
does.
is it-
Yeah, and I might be sending out like little surveys and tidbits as I kind of narrow that thing down and start figuring out my cost. And
I want to buy them as presents.
yes, so
yeah.
the sampling process will be done by April 18th because they have open casting calls for Shark Tank in New York. And I mean, what the hell, right?
That's why I'm so excited about this, because not only have you invented this, which is great, but you are going to fulfill your true destiny of becoming a television showman.
Is that where I belong?
Oh yeah, yeah. You are Vince Offer. You are Billy Mays. Rest in
I'm going to
peace.
be on QVC, me and Lori on QVC. Can you see it?
Fuck yeah! Are you kidding me? Yeah.
So, so I'll have this. The sampling process will be done by then, and then likely by the end of April, I'll have a first small run done, so I can do some marketing stuff, and like I'll probably hack together a site at that point and send it out to everybody and see what kind of interesting demand we get. But yeah, so and long and the short of it, probably by the end of April, you can actually buy one.
Great. I'm sure that website
So-
will have the most kick-ass copy on the business.
Well, thank
Oh
you.
yeah. Let's get some Indy Hall goodness up on that
Yeah.
too.
So thank you. So this is what I've been tooling with. Any other questions, comments, input?
Just a comment. When you get to the marketing stage, my boyfriend Drew has a camera, a special infrared radiation
Yes, I
camera.
would love to borrow that.
Yeah.
Were you offering?
We use it all the time just for fun to take pictures of doors and windows and find little weird spots in the house that leak.
I costed out buying one of those,
They're
but if he already
very
has one, you are more like, you can come to my house. I have a grill and here.
Yeah, so we can talk about that.
That would be wonderful. So, yeah, any other questions, comments?
Yeah.
Rasa,
Alright.
goddamn.
Yeah, here. And if it rips and corn goes flying out, don't worry about it. I had to staple it again this morning because I didn't do it right last night.
I actually haven't used these.
They're great.
You ready?
What is it,
You're,
Similar, you like
Interesting.
Yeah, if you take Rasa's seat, you're totally visible. Matching Adam, I see.
Am I?
Yeah.
Are we
Oh,
matching?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wearing your top and
Yeah.
overalls. We really should have planned this.
I know.
Or we planned it perfectly.
Oh my god, cameras always freak me out.
Yeah, just face this way. Just face this way.
My brain is exploding.
I got another spot. Oh, no, everybody's fine. We're fine. Follow each other. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Is there space for everybody? We're good?
Family.
Hi, I'm Oliver Jane. I am a theater maker in Philadelphia and a director. So I wanted to do this to shamelessly promote an event that I'm putting together on March 31st. It is actually a fundraiser for a play that I'm working on. And the fundraiser is called Stevie Visions, and it's a cabaret drag burlesque night, all centered around Stevie Nicks. Yeah, we've got burlesque performers, we've got drag performers, we've got a hype queen, we've got a roller hoop trick, hula hoop trick. Well, her name is Roller Hoop. Whoops. And we've got some like crazy performance art by some of my crazy, awesome art theater friends who live in Philadelphia. So like
Paul Severe is hosting?
Yes, Paul Severe is hosting it. Paul Severe is also my roommate.
Adam, stop interrupting.
Sorry.
Oh no, ask questions. Ask away. I can name people. I don't know who people know, but Jess Conda will be singing a song. She's a theater maker in Philadelphia, and like a all-around badass. Christina Giswaldi, she's a dancer and like performance artist who makes some like pretty confusingly awesome work that I adore. Pilar Salt is a drag queen who does some like pretty rad political performance art / drag performance. Robin Graves is this like ultra cool hype queen. Teal is, I think this time she sort of wears a lot of hats. She does burlesque, she does drag, she does aerials, she does pole dancing. She kind of does everything. I think she's going to be doing some partner acro for us, but I'm not entirely sure. Pizza Wolf is another burlesque performer who does like pretty awesomely themed burlesque performances. My favorite is her Amish Paradise burlesque performance. And Little Miss Roller Hoops is going to be doing some like pretty cool hula hoop feet. So it's pay what you can. So it's $10 if you want to be entered in for a drawing for a prize. So we have like a few prizes that we'll be giving away to people who pay to come in to see those shows. It's at Plays and Players. If you know what Quig Pub is, yeah, it's a theater, like a theater hangout it's on Delancey, or right off of Delancey, I believe. And also 10% of the what we make at the door will be donated to Planned Parenthood. So yeah, it's gonna be all around a good time. I don't know if you know what a kitten is, but I'll probably be the stage kitten, which will be hilarious, I'm sure, because I'm not a performer.
What's a kitten?
Yeah.
She's the person, or he, I guess it depends, who sort of like sets everything up, but usually does it in costume and looks adorable and is like running around like headless chicken while everybody else is like feeling really cool and confident. Sort of, yeah, I don't know. I went to a show last night and the kitten was actually dressed like a kitten. It was amazing.
Were you at Miss Everything?
Yeah, I went to Miss Everything last night. Yeah, and so the fundraiser is also fundraising for this show that I'm doing, which I'm also going to shamelessly pitch, which is a devised piece that I'm putting together right now. There are 3 performers. We are sort of making our version of right now we're thinking of it as a hybrid between a ritual to summon the world of Stevie Nicks and the world of like hyper femininity in order to like inject it into patriarchy, basically. And so it's part ritual, part variety show. and like part performance art night. That'll be at the Ruba Club September 7th, 8th, and 9th. And the Ruba Club is on, I think it's on Green Street between 5th and 6th. But that's not until September.
So exciting.
But it's like, we wanted to make a play about Stevie Nicks, and so now we're doing it. And yeah, so all around good time. I have postcards if anyone would like one.
Thanks, Rasa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Cool. Oh, you want one? Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Oliver, why
Sorry.
Stevie
The short answer is I was at a barbecue at my really good friend's house, and it was literally a month after we had closed the first show we had done together, and Fleetwood Mac was playing on the record player, and she ran up to me and was like, "You love crystals and witchy things. Why don't we make a play about Stevie Nicks?" And I was like, "Sure." And then I was like, well, no, maybe this will be exciting because I like rock music. So then we did a few workshops, and I realized that what I find fascinating about this, using her as a seed, so the play is not about her at all. We're just using sort of things from her life, things that she's done, things from her songs, things from her story, things that she says in interviews, as like seeds for like making performance art pieces that really have like maybe a politics, something that reflects like my politics and reflects sort of like the things that bother me about sort of what's going on in the greater community I'm a part of right now. But through doing workshops, I realized like, wow, this is a person who like looks at femininity and sees it as like a source of power. And I, for a long time, was like the complete opposite of that. So that was sort of the initial thing where I was like, I'm going to challenge myself to like see femininity as something empowering and beautiful, as opposed to like a detriment to me. So I guess from that perspective, it was pretty personal. But now it's like opening up, and even my like idea of what the word femininity means is getting even broader, which is super exciting.
That's great.
I have 2 vocabulary questions.
Yeah.
What is a theater maker and what is the hype beast? I don't know either of those.
So sorry, thank you for asking. So I say theater maker because I have a master's degree in devised theater. So I basically make original work. I sometimes work with playwrights, but for the most part, I get in a room with a bunch of people and we improvise and fool around and write stories and write dialogue ourselves, and then put it all together and make a play that way. I'm a director, so I often don't perform in work, but I keep telling people I quit performance in September, and I've been in like 3 shows as a performer since I quit. So theater maker is just like my shorthand, like that's what I am. And a hype queen is, so in drag culture, the term for a man who's dressed, I don't know if this is like the way to say it. Maybe
No, that's totally right.
So a man who dresses up as a drag queen is a drag queen, and a woman who dresses up as a queen is a hype queen. But I actually don't know if that's actually right.
Well, so there's some, if I may, there's some.
Could you mansplain this to us?
I hosted a drag show for a while, and it was Miss Everything. So there's some political discourse over it because some people don't like some names. And someone who is traditionally through the day male identified who dresses as a woman and performs is a drag queen. And that in and of itself is problematic for some people, but for some people it's totally. And a woman or a female identified person who does a hyperbolic performance and dresses even more feminine is a hype queen, because began as a female identified person performing as female identified. sometimes called a bio queen, which is
I've never heard that.
offensive to some people because she's biologically a woman. And some people use bio queen and other people don't care for that term. And then there's like drag king and a female identified person performing as male identified as king.
And then there's just gender's playground.
And then there's just genderless playgrounds. And do whatever the
I
fuck you
think
want.
I'm
Yeah.
of the school of genderless playground at the moment.
And that's and like in the community, there are these terms, but also people just kind of bounce in and out and all around. Yeah. And then Miss Everything is primarily a drag competition. But
Really?
well, again, political. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know who won last night. I didn't stay for the whole thing. Did anyone?
It was a drag queen. Yeah.
Oh.
And she was a part of the show that I did on Sunday with Pilar Salt, which was Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I know. My roommate wrote that show.
Yeah. And Jess Conda in that show dressed as my
Really
kidney.
tiny. Really?
Yeah. So when I donated my kidney,
So the
I had
family reunion here.
So
Yeah.
it's still about Oliver. Is that
Yeah.
what we're doing?
Oh no!
well,
it's
we
all,
have this.
all
we have
related.
this
Because we do have
connective
one more
tissue.
speaker.
Literally.
Oh yeah, Kotaro's going. Of course, so I'll shut.
No, tell us about the kidney. And then Kotaro will go.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to know, talk to me.
I feel like we all want to know now.
All right, I donated my kidney, and my friend Jess Conda, our friend Jess Conda,
Who will be performing?
Interrupted the show dressed as my kidney and performed to the song "Call Your Girlfriend" by Robin. And that was the way that she wished me good luck.
That's brilliant.
Because we were breaking up. My kidney.
This was your kidney show?
Yeah.
In my head, this was the Always Sunny show that she just came back as
Okay, yeah. I mean, she can do whatever she wants. She's a charmer.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I put a postcard of yours on the door under the calendar in the kitchen.
Oh, great.
So if you didn't get a postcard and you want to know more about it, there's more information on the calendar.
All right, one more. You got this, Kotaro.
There's Apple TV. Where was there? Did I use the Apple TV or is the Chromecast the better choice?
I don't know how to use the Apple TV.
The Apple TV is on a separate
Oh,
It's a different
input, so we can't
Oh,
use it
yeah.
on Apple TV.
That's
If you go to indyhall.org/Zoom, then you can screen share.
Which is great because it gets recorded.
indyhall.org/Zoom.
Later you can just see yourself checking
I
it out.
download
I'm doing
it. I'm connecting.
Oliver, do you have a poster that we can put under the?
All right. Join audio conference.
Uh,
My computer.
yeah. Whatever that top one is.
Top one.
Yeah.
This one. Hello. Turn off. Okay.
I'm here to put this on the video.
Unmute.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, we're good. Okay. No horrible echo.
Well, I
um,
unmuted.
And then you go to yeah. That's good because we have this. This is your microphone.
Okay.
So go to share screen or
Screen.
scare stream
Share screen. Okay.
and whichever one you want.
Can I just do the full one or the desktop? That's fine. I guess. Oh no. That's will work. We'll see. Okay. So.
Yay!
Oh, that's somebody else's barbecue. I'm good. Okay, so I've been kind of playing around with this little side project with a colleague of mine. So I do a lot of iOS development. So iPhone, Apple TV, that kind of stuff. And one day during Side Project Saturday, which is like a little kind of like night owls, we just get together, work on their own projects. This colleague was like, "Hey, I was working with IBM Watson to do text recognition that could identify like something you say to identify what the intent is. So like, you say move left or go left, it means basically fundamentally left or right, right? So we're like, oh, it's kind of cool. We can somehow make it so that it drives something. So we kind of went on this little project where I had this sort of fantasy in my mind, going back to like when I used to watch cartoons like Giant Robo or The Big O, which are like basically some little boy or somebody driving a robot through his watch, which I just happen to have an Apple Watch on me. So the funny thing was, it was like, well, you can't drive, like we didn't do anything with robotics, but I did kind of find this idea fascinating to drive a cartoon robot or something on an Apple TV, where as a kid you could say, do something, and it would eventually make the robot on the TV move and do all these activities. Kind of more like a fun thing as a kid, more than maybe as an adult, who knows. So we initially got it to work, speech to text to work on the iPhone. So I have this little app here where I use some of the Apple TV's, I use some of the iOS speech to text. So record what I say and then turn it into text and then send the text to Watson, which is their cloud-based service, to say, hey, move left. They'll figure out it means the intent is left, and then send that text back, in which I can send that text to the Apple TV to tell the robot on the Apple TV to go left. That's basically the idea. So I have been building, it's a very basic prototype right now. The goal is ultimately like, it will be a game that 2 players can control. Hopefully if the simulator actually comes up. 2 players can control so that they can fight each other. Can't see it here. How do I switch the
Which screen it is?
Which screen it is?
Maybe hover towards the bottom.
Hover towards the bottom?
On your computer, does it share screen again?
Yeah. Or news. Oh, there we go. So, yeah, share that one. So basically, so I have this little, so basically I have my phone here, and then, oops. So I'm connecting through the phone to this is the only way you can actually connect and send signals from an iOS phone or from the Apple Watch, because the Apple Watch needs to be connected to the phone. The only way to communicate to an Apple TV through the watch is through the phone. So that's first. Now basically now I'm connected. You see my iPhone 7 connected to, and it's ready. And then I can, through the phone, say, move left. Signal sent. It's sending that way. Move right. It says right, and it's moving right. Now, the ultimate idea is tell it through the watch. I have a little mic here. Move left. And then in theory, it should send that signal here, left, and then it goes back. That takes a little longer because of the sort of the time it takes to actually send that signal from the watch to the phone. Oh, it's not coming back. Yeah. But what I'm trying to do ultimately is make it let's turn off the sound. Make it so that every command you do will require some energy it's gonna take up. So like eventually your robots will deactivate over time or just lose power. So you have to kind of risk reward. You have to figure out what commands to say based on the design of the robot. Like if the robot has a drill hand, right? You can probably tell, fire drill hand, and it should know, oh, like it's going to fire its drill. Or if the robot has a rocket, maybe it can like jump high. So I'm trying, that's the sort of long-term game mechanics of where I want to take it. And it's kind of like, because it's giant robots, they move very slow. So it's not going to be very easy to like do very like quick commands. So you can, it should give you enough time to do the commands without it feeling, I don't know, pressure inducing in the sense of like, it'll give you enough time to make for the commands to register so that you can kind of enjoy the gameplay and try to enjoy figuring out what commands you can and cannot do. Ultimately, the weird part about this is that it requires at least an iPhone, maybe two, and an Apple TV. So from a business standpoint, it's probably not particularly very feasible. And IBM Watson actually costs a ton more money after the first 1,000 calls. So the first 1,000 calls you make to IBM Watson is like free, but then afterwards it's like per call it's like 0.0025 cents. But you know, extrapolate that out, you can kind of realize, oh, that's going to be a lot of money if like, you know, a lot of people actually like it. So yeah. So that's basically it for now. I mean, I hope that within a month or two, I'll have a better prototype and maybe you'll actually be using 3D models and maybe 2 different robots. And that's it.
That's so cool.
I have a question. Like, could you apply this to like any of the like war strategy games?
Sure.
Because I'm thinking like my dad getting old and the buttons and stuff like that. Like, as dexterity changes or if anybody's been in an accident and still want to play those games, it's a much slower moving game to begin with because it tends to be a shifting strategy rather than a traditional like take them down that the younger generation. I don't play video games. That's all I have.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had this thought that it would be kind of, it's the kind of thing that you would like a kid to like go, hey, this is so cool. And that's really the sort of core, I don't know why is the term, but the core idea is like it's trying to attack the inner child of a person, or the child, whatever, and just get that.
Attack the child.
Attack the child. Yeah. just get that kind of enthusiasm. That's who I really care about more than maybe like, I don't know, hardcore gamers.
Right.
And thus, the target market being like it's on the Apple TV. It's kind of a small market to begin with, so I don't know. I mean, a lot of these things combined make this for a difficult product to actually get out into the marketplace. So we'll see where it goes. But it's so crazy and absurd, I feel like I have to do it.
That's cool.
That's it.
Do you want to sell it at some point?
Yeah, the goal would be to sell it. It's just to figure out like the key part is the money part in terms of like, okay, if I do IBM Watson, or I have to come up with some sort of speech recognition software suite that would not like bankrupt me if I do like upfront cost or just subscription.
So you use Watson to translate the speech to text?
Well, I use the speech part like I'm using the built-in iOS. I'm not pretty sure it's like using Siri technology to say the speech to text and sending the text to Watson to interpret what that ultimately means. So if I say, go to the effing left, right, it's just like left. And then it can also bring back the tonal information of that text to say, you know what, this guy's kind of in a foul mood. So maybe have the robot respond in that fashion.
Interesting.
Wow.
It actually has a weird score of like various different like fear-based score, like fear, anxiety, anger. It's really meant for like chat-based services. So like if you're chatting with somebody, you can kind of begin to see the level of irritation kind of rise and then adjust your text accordingly. So I kind of would think eventually it'd be kind of cool to do like long-term, like, oh, I want the robot to just give the person a little finger or something, like, or just like react and like, oh, I don't care. I emotionally react to your violent like commands.
I have my robot call Comcast on my.
Well, if it's Comcast, it'll just shut down, and not
If
work.
it uses Comcast.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the game Rampage, the old
Yeah.
arcade game.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, I could tell you like make the robot like climb the building or whatever. Because the thing I remember about that, because you were saying it takes like time, and I remember that Rampage, like because it's the same idea. Like there's like a giant gorilla and a werewolf, and like the other one's like maybe like a lizard or something.
Yeah.
And they like climb buildings, and then like it's like very slow and clunky because they're like kind of supposed to be like big. Same idea as a robot.
Yeah.
And it's like you can kind of like make them climb the buildings, and they like it's like a King Kongish type thing. There's like they like punch helicopters and stuff.
That's going to be a movie soon.
Rampage.
Starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Is that
Yeah.
really awesome? So there you go. So I think it's like it's something like that where you had like a like you had an objective to like go somewhere, do something. That would be really fun.
I mean, there are a lot of potential applicable designs for this that are outside of. I mean, the real for me, the real challenge of it was to get the communication to happen from the watch ultimately to the Apple TV. And again, whether or not the idea itself is, a realistically good idea, I don't know. We'll see as it goes.
Yeah, I would totally yell at my watch. So for sure.
I mean, what I'm thinking about doing is giving you more powers if you happen to have the watch. I kind of believe in this idea of like, cater to the platform that you're working with. So if you have a watch, there are restrictions involved. So let's just make you OP, as they say in the game world. Like, let's just make you more powerful than if you had this tool versus if you didn't.
That's cool, man.
Question, it might not be related at all to the technical specifics. You said this was like just a rough prototype, but I saw like smoldering and smoke and stuff. How did you get those graphics? Where does stuff like that come from?
You kind of get that for free. So I'm using Xcode, which has this particle emitter that you can, I can show you later. But basically, it's just like, really, you just create a file, play with the particle settings a little bit, boom, you have smoke. It's actually not too challenging from within Xcode.
Okay.
And then you just drag it into the scene all the day. Okay. Whether game designers would probably be like, yeah, don't do that. Just too early. Thanks for a nice day.
That's awesome.
Right on.
Thanks, Kotaro.
Kotaro is the Tom Hanks of, like Tom Hanks is the SNL as Kotaro is the show and tell. And I think Tom Hanks has hosted SNL.
Someone has like original.
Oh, is that what it is?
No, it's the guy who's playing Trump all the time.
Oh, is it Baldwin?
Baldwin's hosted like 18 times.
Yeah, he's got the most.
Yeah.
It's just Kotaro never stops making cool shit. Ever.
So thanks everyone online.
Hey Meg. Hey Kathy.
Awesome presentations, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.